In 1903, 102 Koreans set sail for Hawaii in search of a new life. More than 120 years later, one documentary filmmaker has dedicated herself to preserving their stories and bringing the forgotten history of Korean immigration to a wider audience. Through her documentaries, Words of Wisdom from the Rainbow State and Songs of Love from Hawaii, award-winning director Lee Jin-young has captured the lives, struggles, and legacy of Korean immigrants in Hawaii with warmth and compassion. Now, we're delighted to welcome her to the studio today. Hello, Director Lee.
Hello, so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me.
We are very happy to have you on the show. So, Director Lee, you are a journalist turned film director. So, could we first hear a little bit about your career and what made you pursue documentary filmmaking?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I grew up right here in Seoul, and it's 5 minutes from this very studio.
Oh.
I moved to Hawaii when I was maybe like 23, 24. First, I was fascinated by its landscape. I had no idea what kind of history that we have in Hawaii. But working as a journalist and a news anchor for more than a decade in Hawaii, I had an opportunity to meet wonderful Korean descendants of Hawaii who live in Hawaii. And it got me to think, what's their beginning of their journey? And I realized that their grandparents and parents were among the first Koreans who came to Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii is the first place that Korea has started its official immigration. And their stories were just very moving, and it wasn't just a family story, and I felt like it was a part of our history. And I decided to pick up a camera to record their story and share with others.
So, as you just mentioned, Hawaii marks the beginning of Korean immigration to the United States, but yet so few people know about this history.
Right.
So, why and when did you think that, okay, I have to document this and we have to preserve this?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I had no idea when I moved to Hawaii that we have such beautiful history of our own in Hawaii. What was very surprising to me is that not only they worked in the plantation field for so many hours, very hardworking people, but what they did after hours was they raised their own, funds to support Korea's independence movement outside of, Hawaii. I mean, they were very poor. It was very hard to even make a living on their own in Hawaii, but still they supported Korea's independence movement. And as an immigrant myself, I was struggling with the question of identity and belonging, living in Hawaii. And their story gave me a courage, and their story gave me a hope. And I was thinking that if it inspired me, for sure this story can inspire others. And that's why I decided to create films about their story.
So now let's talk about your first documentary, Words of Wisdom from the Rainbow States. Now it tells the 120-year history of Korean immigrants to Hawaii through the eyes of the descendants. Usually when most people say Hawaii, they say, think of paradise or heaven on earth, like you've mentioned in your prologue video as well, and myself as well. But, what inspired you to make the film, and what message did you most hope to convey from the documentary?
Yeah, so I probably interviewed more than 85 people who are the descendants of these early Korean immigrants in Hawaii, who came to Hawaii between 1903 and 1945. And I asked them same question, what's the biggest lesson, greatest lesson that you got from your parents or grandparents that you want to pass on to the next generation? Because again, it was just amazing how they started their own life in Hawaii and made such a beautiful history of their own as a Korean. And surprisingly, even though these descendants are from different generations, different backgrounds, their answers all came to one answer. That was, you have to live for others too, not just for yourself. You have to live for others, and you have to share with your neighbors what you have. And I thought that was very beautiful. And now we live in a society that's, divided between generations, nations, and all that. But their story, the community minded, and always thinking of way to help each other was, I think, very powerful, and that's the story that we needed.
And those words from years ago are definitely, living with others is important still till this day.
Exactly, yeah, especially with the, AI and all that, we have to think of a way to, how we can live together,
Right.
basically. So hopefully, that became the core message of Words of Wisdom and also my other films as well.
And that's why your documentaries are resonating with a wide audience. And your works have been globally acclaimed. You are an award-winning film director. But what I personally found especially interesting is that your documentary has been permanently preserved at the National Archives in Korea. So what does that mean to you?
Oh, it was, when that thing happened, I cried. I literally cried because if you think about it, those Korean immigrants who came to Hawaii, even though they supported Korea like thousands of miles away while working in the plantation, most of them couldn't make it to Hawaii. They couldn't afford to visit their homeland again during their lifetime. And to be recognized after 120 years, their sacrifice and their contribution, that was, it was a privilege for me to witness that.
Right.
It was very emotional.
Oh,
Right, I can imagine, especially having that historical significance recognized in this way by Korea must have been very meaningful for you.
Yeah, I was very grateful.
Oh.
Yeah.
And your second documentary, Songs of Love from Hawaii, it was actually recently screened at the U.S. Library of Congress and received significant attention. So we want to ask you, how was the viewers from America or American audiences respond to the film?
Yeah. Songs of Love from Hawaii was very different from my first work. Words of Wisdom is based on the interviews. It's an oral history. But I played the cello for a long time, and I called myself failed cellist. I couldn't become a concert cellist, but I got to believe the power of music. And to share this beautiful story that we have in Hawaii, I borrowed the power of music because it's a universal language. I think the reason why we had successful turnout from the Library of Congress screening is because really the music can, touch people's heart no matter where you're from. And a lot of audiences came up to me and said, the film made me think of my grandmother, and I had to call my mom to say I love you and all that. That was, was something that I can never forget for sure. It was a very beautiful moment.
Now, the more we hear, Director Lee, probably our global viewers would like to know how they can watch your documentary.
Oh, yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, Songs of Love from Hawaii is available on most platform, like streaming platforms in Korea, and also in the United States, you can watch it from Amazon Prime Video, and also other countries through Vimeo on demand. And Words of Wisdom is available for free on YouTube.
Okay. And now let's move on to what you're currently working on. We hear that you are working on a new documentary.
Yeah.
And this also explores the stories of both Korean and Japanese immigrants in Hawaii. So what message do you want to share through this new project?
Yeah, it's called Beyond the Rainbow. Like you mentioned, people think of paradise or rainbow when they hear the word Hawaii. But living in Hawaii for 20 years and making this film about our history and their history, I realized that Hawaii is very special and beautiful because not only its beautiful landscape, but also the spirit that people have. Hawaii is very unique in the sense that a lot of people came from different background, different culture from early age because of the plantation history. They had to work together in the limited limited resources, and how they helped each other to have Hawaii now we have. Like they had to respect each other and they had to share the love, and I wanted to showcase that in the film. Let me ask you a question. Do you know what aloha means?
Hello.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was actually going to greet you that way today. I'm happy that you mentioned it now.
Yeah, exactly. Hawaii, that is true. Hawaii is a Hawaiian greetings. People think of that, when you hear the word aloha, but in dictionary, literally, it means unconditional love in Hawaiian. it means treating each other with respect and with love, no matter where you're from, no matter how much you have. And that is really in the history too when you see these people's story. So we follow two different families, one Japanese, one Korean families that started from same plantation farm. And they lead very different lives through time. And through that story, I would like to showcase, how we could live together well.
I'm looking forward to that as well. And you've been creating documentaries, and you are still creating documentary. But documentaries are not necessarily known as box office hits. But what motivates you to continue documenting these, challenging or often overlooked histories?
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people think that documentary cannot make lots of money, which is true, I think. But I believe that, success, the word success means differently. It means different from, everybody. But for me, I think my life is already successful because I found the story that's really meaningful to me, the story that makes my life meaningful. So in that sense, I feel already successful. But as a filmmaker, I would like to share what I have learned through the journey of making songs of love and words of wisdom. Even though, the box office receipt wasn't, super fancy or anything, whenever we have a screening, there's one person who comes up to me and say, through the film, I got to understand my history. I got to understand my mother's story, my grandmother's story, who I could never talk to each other because of the language barrier or what. It's a privilege. That's much more than, I can imagine if I made a whole lot of money through, other sorts of filmmaking. So, as long as I see these reactions from a person, from a family, that my film helped them understand their roots, I will continue my journey as a filmmaker.
And speaking of continuing your journey, is there maybe some other chapter of history that you would like to convey through your films in the future?
Yeah, there are 700, so many people in this world who has Korean heritage now. That was started back in Hawaii in 1903, but now Koreans are everywhere and they had their own history. And I'd like to explore stories in Japan, stories in China, and stories in Russia. And one day, perhaps, maybe we will see songs of love from Russia, songs of love from Japan and all that. And one message I always see from different stories is that love, Koreans, wherever they are, we always had, this deep, deep love for their children and their homeland too. And, hopefully I can continue my journey as a filmmaker to showcase that beautiful part of our history.
All right. Thank you very much, Director Lee, for sharing your story. It was such an inspiration, and also especially for sharing the story of the Korean immigrants to the world. And yes, we're also looking forward to your future works. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you, Bella, as always. We're going to have you back here soon.
Yes, I'll see you soon.